my goal is to enjoy myself, make some money for the fam, and spank some of these young guys on stage.
What's up guys and welcome. You are watching Fazi Fitness. So let's start this video with the former Miss Olympia and a former Arnold champion, Brendan Curry, who had no political answer when he was asked what's his goal for this upcoming Arnold. So he was the guest at the Menace podcast in the most recent episode, and based on his prediction for the Arnold, they put himself over Samson Dauda. This means that the young guys that he's aiming to spank, they are Derek, Samson and Andrew Jacked. Now we all know that ain't happening. I mean, there isn't even an imaginable scenario in which Brendan Curry, at the age of 42, beats Samson Dauda. But if Brendan is even able to place top 3 at this year's Arnold, I believe that is gonna be a big shocker for the entire bodybuilding world.
Sean?
Yeah, Sean, William, Akeem, Andrew, Derek, Samson. I'm picking 7 though, because I'm automatically picking myself first. Of course.
Now this whole episode, that was based on the assumption that what if Brendan is at his all-time best, which means he brings that same package that we saw from him back at the Arnold 2019, when he was able to beat the arguably best version of William Bonac, and that, in my opinion, was the best Brendan has ever looked. But the question right now is that even possible for Brendan at this point? Because we are 6 years past that moment, and Brendan is now 42 years old. Now we have to keep in mind that Brendan has to make sure that he comes in with his trademark pop and fullness, with all that added detail and the separation that he's aiming for this time. Because the thing is, he cannot afford to lose too much size, especially on his lower half, to bring out more condition and more detail, because he's battling it out with some big boys. Now Brendan has to hope that he catches some of these guys off guard, because that's the only way he can beat them. And what are the chances that all of our potential top 3, they come in off for this show? Guys, Mr. Olympia Signature Series is now live on hostel.com. Use the code FAZI10 to get 10% discount and click the arrow below to check out all the hostel products. Next up, we have a 12 weeks out physique update from Michael Krizo, or 11 weeks out, because Michael Krizo, in his most recent YouTube video, he mentioned Pittsburgh Pro as a show that he's looking for as his first show of the year to make his comeback.
Pittsburgh, New York Pro, Dubai Pro.
And just because Pittsburgh Pro and the New York Pro, they are just 1 week apart, more and more guys, they are gonna jump into this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro as we get closer and closer to that show. So the mighty Dubai Pro is also on Michael Krizo's list, and as good as Krizo looks at 12 weeks out, I must say all the 3 shows that he has planned, they are gonna be very challenging, because those are some of the biggest shows in terms of the prize money, and also in terms of the guys who are gonna be competing there, because we are seeing some very deep lineups in all of these shows. I mean, Dubai Pro alone, that is $140,000 in prize money, and I cannot imagine a guy like Martin Fitzwater not doing that one, as he made it pretty clear that this year, 2025, that will be all about competing and making some money. Now, no surprise that Krizo's conditioning at 12 weeks out looks so damn good right now, and the man is just coming out of the off-season phase, in which he was pushing to get all his density back, all his muscles back, after that shoulder surgery. Now I did notice one thing in the most recent update, where the right arm and the shoulders look a bit smaller than the left one. Now I am assuming that's the side where Krizo got his surgery done, and as young as Krizo is, I am 100% sure he's gonna balance both sides in no time. So the one guy in the industry right now, one big name in bodybuilding, Chris Cormier, who is the real deal, who had Derek's back all this time, that Derek Lunsford is gonna come out and shock the bodybuilding world at this upcoming Arnold and beat a guy like Samson Dauda. Well, even he flipped and changed his predictions 2 weeks out of the show, putting Samson Dauda at number 1 over Derek.
And I got a switch up here.
Oh, what? What?
I have a switch up here.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna go Derek seconds.
Okay. You need to explain this.
Now what does that reflect on Derek's part? Well, we do not know. Maybe this Arnold journey that did not go the way Chris Cormier wanted it to go. And if you guys remember, he did point out his reservations about that guy Fabrico from Brazil, who who trained Derek more than Chris Cormier during this year's Arnold prep, and he did things kinda differently than Chris Cormier wanted them to be. So it isn't exactly a good look on the team, especially when we are only 9 days out of this upcoming Arnold, this close to the show, and especially when Derek in his most recent update looked so unbelievable, which we saw yesterday. Now for the record, those predictions, they mean absolutely nothing, because we have seen them get wrong time and time again. Now Samson winning the Olympia last year, that was basically negating all the predictions, but they do tend to shape up the narrative when the show is this close. Now I personally do think that Derek can surprise us all in 10 days time by showing up harder and fuller than we have ever seen from him before, and more detailed than he was at the Olympia last year, and he can still be the most detailed guy on the stage, especially in the areas like his back, and also in the side leg, and also his legs from the back. So, do let me know what you guys think. Guys, Gorilla Wear is offering a massive discount of up to 70% right now. Use the code Fazi10 to get 10% extra discount. Next up, we have a 12-week out physique update from Albertas Krinickis, the guy who's aiming to be the youngest classic physique pro at the age of 19. Yes, you guys heard that right. That's 19. And you just look at some physiques and their development at such an early age, and that doesn't even make any sense. Now to everyone out there who is gonna comment, it is all because of the gear. Well, people can be blasting for more than 10 years and still won't look like that, because those are some God-given genetics. Those are what we call elite genetics. And everything in terms of classic physique perspective, the man flows so well and he looks classic from every angle. I mean, look at that quad sweep, which is already world class, coupled with such a tiny waist and great arms. For being only 19 years old, he is well on his way to become the youngest classic physique pro. And not just that, if he stays healthy, he's definitely gonna be a force in the pro ranks in the future. Now, anyone out there wondering how tall this guy is? Well, he's 5'9", and he weighs just shy of 240 pounds in his most recent physique update. So the last time we saw a talent like this one, that was Anton, who currently holds the record of being the youngest classic physique pro. And that physique also looked absolutely mental for that age. Now Chris Bumstead once said that you never know when a genetic freak can come out of the woods and just surprise everyone. I guess those were these type of physiques that he was pointing out. And I for one cannot wait to see this guy on the stage.
And we're also joined by 7-time Mr. Olympia. I want to see this guy. Phil Heath. Where's Phil? Phil Heath. I don't want to compare my muscles. Here he is. Thank you, Phil, very much. I appreciate it.
So Donald Trump giving a shout out to 7 times Miss Olympia Phil Heath during this visit to White House. That is trending all over the news in the bodybuilding media. And you can have a different political affiliation, but that's a big win for bodybuilding overall. The legend of the sport is being recognized by none other than the most powerful man in the world. And all these little steps, they will benefit our sport a lot more in general. Now bodybuilding, particularly the men's open bodybuilding, that has already made the biggest steps to give more prize money to the athletes in 2025 season, with the prize money going up in every single show. And there was another exciting news announced by Talent Manion. Superpower as the corporate sponsor for pro men's open bodybuilding shows. And with that, another $230,000 that is going to be added to the men's open prize money division for all the shows in 2025. So the trajectory of the pro bodybuilding, it is at its all-time high. And we are literally living in an era where all these guys, all these bodybuilders, they can just make huge amount of money by just competing in more shows. And that's overall such a great news for the sport in general, as more and more of these big names, they're gonna start to compete multiple times every year.
Because of their sponsorship, an extra $230,000 will be added to the prize money for open men's bodybuilding shows this year. This will affect 23 of our men's open bodybuilding shows.
Next up, we have an update from Blessing Awodibu. Now we have some doubts on how big his quads are gonna look like at this upcoming Pittsburgh Pro, when he stands next to the likes of Nick Walker and Martin and Krizo and possibly Regan as well. But that being said, his upper body is looking so damn good right now, and it's still more than 11 weeks out of the show, and the man is looking so wide and stunning. Not to mention he's already showing some deep cuts with so much time to go. Now it has been said so many times before that a good bodybuilder is just one good off-season away from greatness. And Blessing pushed all the limits in this past offseason which were humanly possible. I mean, the guy went up to 330 pounds in the offseason for this comeback. And considering how big he looked, even breathing at that phase, that would have been a struggle. And all of that was to make a first good impression and to make a very strong comeback. So you have got to give him the credit. He could not have gone for a more difficult show for his comeback than Pittsburgh and also the New York crew. And maybe working with Stefan as his coach, that has given him the much needed confidence that with all this new size, he can battle it out with the best in the world. So hit the thumbs up button if you liked the video and smash the subscribe button if you wanna come back for more. Thanks for watching.